This hour is 22 minutes. The government comedians at CBC state broadcaster, they actually called someone else unfunny yesterday. It's unimportant. Yeah, I replied to it. You know, don't even dig it. I don't even want you to spend a minute on it. But just imagine that CBC's government journalists, government comedians working for the state broadcaster. This hour is 22 minutes. Those are the government comedians. The world is full of unfunny comedians. By definition, 99% of comedians are not funny enough to earn a living at it. One of my favorite lawyers is an amateur comedian. He does it as a hobby because he's smart enough to know, you know, he thinks he's funny and he goes to open night or open mic night and he'll get a laugh and he'll work on it. But to make a living in comedy, to get paid, certainly to get paid as much as he does as a lawyer, you're one in a million. I mean, how many working comedians are there in Canada? Do you think? I mean, just, you know, some comedians. How many comedians are there in Canada who have a full-time job as a comedian and make, let's say, 75 grand a year or more after expenses? Do you think there's 20 in the whole, like so it's 1 in a million. Let's say there's 38. Canada's population about 38 million. Do you even think there's 38 full-time comedians in Canada who aren't living like poverty level? I don't even think there's 38. I just don't think there is. $38 guys making a living. I don't think it's 1 in a million. To be funny enough to eat and to buy a house and to live a real life, you're 1 in a million. You're 1 in a million. I think Ryan Long is that, and Tim Dillon's just killing it these days, and Dave Chappelle. I mean, listen, we know their names because they're so funny. The guys who can't hack it, but aren't grown up enough to move on in life and become a real other thing and just have comedy as their hobby, the guys who think they're funny and they won't give up the dream even though they're not funny, those are the guys who become government comedians. They're the unfunniest ones. And look at this. They said, a survey says Prince Edward Island is the least funny province in Canada, which is surprising since their dirt is so iron-y. Sign that guy up. Can I get a tight 5 from you? Can you come down to Yuck Yucks tonight? I'm going to sell out the crowd. Oh man, that was, you know, did you get that? Iron-y? Their soil is so iron-y. Guys, you nailed it. Woo-hoo! You nailed it. We got to put you on tour. Oh, yeah. Yeah, here's another one. Doug Ford said that he'll hop in a bus and drive kids to school in September if he has to. The longest route anyone has taken to achieve their dream job. Oh, man. You know what's fun about this hour and 22 minutes government comedians is sometimes I count the ratio of unfunny jokes they make about, well, not just anything. Like that Prince Edward Island joke was perhaps the dumbest thing I've seen from them all year. But the ratio of criticizing anyone else in politics other than their boss. Like they work for the CBC, so they work for Justin Trudeau. They miss Donald Trump so much because they expiated they knew they had, well, comedy is essentially subversive. Orwell said, every joke is a little revolution. But the CBC is not allowed to make fun of Trudeau, at least not in any serious way. So they would misdirect by really being tough on Donald Trump. Okay, thanks. He's the leader of another country, and I think the American comedians have that well in hand, and we're Canadian taxpayers, and we're paying you, and you're obsessed with Donald Trump, like it would be like 5 to 1, 10 to 1 tweets about Trump versus any Canadian politician. That was not a particularly funny joke about Doug Ford, but the ratio of jokes, and they're not allowed to talk about deeply embarrassing or hurtful things to the Liberals. Like they're not allowed to talk about Rose Knight, the woman who was sexually assaulted by Justin Trudeau in Creston, BC. They're not allowed to talk about Selena Cesar Chavannes, the black woman who was fired by Justin Trudeau. They're not allowed to talk about Jody Wilson-Raybould, the Indigenous Justice Minister who was fired by Justin Trudeau. So when you're not allowed to talk about the government's worst failings, which is where the humor is, showing the contradictions, mockery, when you're not allowed to mock the powerful because you eat out of the hand of the powerful, you get increasingly desperate. So you mock conservatives because you know that'll please the boss. Alberta Premier Jason Kenney says Alberta will not bring in COVID-19 vaccine passports, or at least not until you're allowed to wear a cowboy hat in the picture. Like, that's just not even funny. Like, I don't even see the joke there. Like, you know what? I suppose I would accept left-wing government humor if it was really funny. But being a funny government comedian is like saying you're a badass government punk band. If you work for the government, by definition, you're like the muzak you hear in elevators. You can't be disruptive or a dissenter because you were eating out of Justin Trudeau's hands. Former U.S. President Donald Trump has announced plans to sue Twitter, Facebook, and Google, claiming he was wrongfully censored. The judgment will be made by Instagram Story Poll. You guys, no, you went there. Instagram Story Poll, you nailed it. You nailed it. Trump's been gone 6 months, but it's not that he's living in their head rent-free. That's part of it. It's that they're not allowed to make fun of Justin Trudeau. If you are a government comedian, you are the lowest of the low. And I have to say, comedians generally, you know my views on comedians, Justin. You know, God bless them, and I like to tell a joke myself. And we had a couple of your buddies who did some comedy stuff for us a few years ago. I really like them. Like, listen, but in general, the industry, would you agree with me that the industry is pretty gross?
Oh, hi. That was a clip from our Rebel Daily live stream. It's hosted Monday, Wednesday, and Friday by the big boss man, Ezra Levant, and Tuesdays and Thursdays by me, Sheila Gunn Reid, and my good friend, David Menzies. On the live stream, we talk about the news of the day, we show some videos, and we interact with our viewers at home. We stream at 12 noon Eastern, 10 Mountain. You can find us on YouTube, Rumble, Super U, and Odyssey.